G'day everyone, I'm David Reidy. Welcome to Piano Finally, a podcast by an old bloke who's getting around to learning the piano. Finally. Welcome to show 26. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If this is the first time you've heard the podcast, I hope you enjoy what's here. Let me know if you're learning the piano like I am, or another musical instrument, and let me know how you're going with it. You can contact me at david@pianofinally.show, and if you're back here for more, thanks very much for coming back. I was back at work this week after time off recovering, and things are slowly getting back to normal. I haven't been able to go swimming each morning until this weekend, so I was able to spend the extra time at the piano in the morning. I'm still finding first thing in the morning is the most productive time for practice. It's always the same time, there's nothing that can push it out of the way, and I'm wide awake when I get up. Contrast that with trying to fit practice in after work, and there's no comparison. So many things get in the way, such as after-school activities, making dinner, and just being worn out after a long day of teaching. I do still sometimes get to sit down and do some extra practice, but if I've done my practice in the morning, I can treat it as a bonus rather than as an obligation to myself. If you're having trouble getting your practice in at the end of the day, may I suggest giving first thing in the morning a try. This week, rather than suggest a new YouTube video, I thought it might be useful to do a quick look at what's been happening with some of the channels I have already suggested. So, in no particular order, here we go. TwoSet Violin was an Australian violin duo whose channel combined serious classical violin performances with comedy. They had over 4 million subscribers on YouTube, but suddenly, in October, they announced that they were stopping, removed many of their past videos, and disappeared without explanation. This week, however, a new video from B2TSM appeared on the old channel, so maybe something is coming. The Chopin Podcast has a bit of replanning. Originally, it was to be 12 episodes, each looking at a different part of Chopin's works, leading up to the US Chopin competition next January. Not surprisingly, this has turned out to be a bigger project than the producers expected, and the number of episodes has expanded to 16. The quality is still incredibly high, and the level of discussion, and more importantly, the musical inclusions, make each episode a masterclass in understanding Chopin's work. If you haven't been listening, you really should start. One outcome of their rescheduling and extending the episodes is that they've added an extra episode on the newly discovered Chopin waltz, which hadn't been publicly revealed when the series started. It's the new episode 7 and it was released this week. I haven't had a chance to listen to all of it yet. Stefan Wyatt's Piano Tips channel has continued to release more instructional videos to go along with his solo learner books. I have his Czerny exercises book, and he now has videos for each of the pieces up to number 30, with the intention of covering all 100 entries. He has also just released a similar book with the Burgmüller exercises, and videos on each of them will be coming. These are a great resource for the solo learner without a piano teacher, as Stefan provides performance tips for each exercise based on his years as a piano teacher. I'll be back with some new suggestions next week, but in the meantime, if you know of any YouTube channels that have content that might be interesting to other listeners of the podcast, drop me an email and I'll check them out for inclusion in a future episode. Remember, my email is david@pianofinally.show. Useful theory. Yes, I've been thinking about music theory again, mostly because I've been working through Guy Mitchell-Moore's course that I recommended in last week's show. I've finished the first half of the course, and I'm finding it quite interesting. Guy has a teaching style similar to mine, and I'm enjoying the videos so much that I bought his composition bundle as well while it was on sale for Black Friday month. I've said it a few times before, if I'm going to learn something, I have to understand it, and I'm finding that is also true when it comes to the music I'm playing. Most of the pieces so far are relatively simple. The canon I am working on is 16 bars long, but really only 8 bars because of its structure, and the other 2 pieces are 8 bars each. so there's not a lot of room for complexity. Even so, seeing how the music in the two hands relates from a music theory point of view has made it much easier to match them up. It has been even more obvious in the Adele song, where the arpeggios in the right hand match the chords in the left hand. That correspondence is straightforward, but choosing exactly which notes to use in the arpeggios is a little trickier, trying to minimise the number of note changes from one chord to the next. I could recognise that Debbie's choices of notes sounded better, but it wasn't until I learned about the theory behind chord progressions that I understood why. I'm comfortable with the circle of fifths, knowing that moving one key clockwise or anti-clockwise means changing only one note in the matching scale. But as was pointed out in the theory, the chord progression 1, 5, 6, 4 involves the tonic key, the one clockwise, the 5, the one anti-clockwise, the 4, and the relative minor, the 6. So those chords are in the keys that change by only one note, or none at all for the minor. No wonder they sound good together. All this learning more theory has got me interested in working out how music goes together in the first place. For a long time, I thought it was just something that other people could do, and I would just have to enjoy the results of their work. But I think I'm going to give it a go myself, now that I better understand why some things work the way they do. And although I still find the way music theory uses numbers to be annoying, where a fourth plus a fifth equals an eighth, and 8 plus 8 equals 15, I'll overlook it in the interest of harmony, which happens to be the next theory topic. I've made a couple of purchases to let me have a go at making some original music. I'll talk about them in the upcoming episodes. ANZCA is the Australia and New Zealand Cultural Arts Limited, a non-profit body that provides examinations for a wide range of musical instruments and voice. Although ANZCA offers traditional face-to-face music exams in both performance and music theory, they also allow for video exams, and it's those that I'm interested in, perhaps. While I'm sure there is merit in in-person exams, from a practical point of view, they can be difficult to organise if you're an adult with a full-time job. Of course, the majority of exam candidates are most likely school students, and they can be much more flexible with time constraints. But being able to take time off work during the day is inconvenient, to say the least, especially when you don't get to choose your leave days. So I've been looking into their video exams. Let me start by saying that I don't think exams are necessary at all in most cases, unless you're trying to get into further study. If you're like me, however, they're useful for setting a standard you can aim for, but ultimately not needed. I've said to my piano teacher that I'd like to get to the standard where I could pass the exam, but I still haven't decided if I'll actually do it, although it might be interesting and provide some insights I can include in the podcast. There are two versions of the video exams, Video Performance and ANZCA Go, with an exclamation mark. The video performance exams are identical to the in-person exams in terms of the pieces to be played, 4 in total, but they don't include the other exam parts such as technical work, sight reading and oral tests. The 4 performance pieces must be recorded in one take without breaks or edits. ANZCA Go, with the exclamation mark, exams also need 4 performances from the appropriate level lists, but in this case, the performances can be recorded separately and you can upload the last 3 over a 12-month period that starts when you upload your first piece. As they say in the exam guide, this new system means that you can now record as many takes as you need, then enter with your best recording whenever you are ready. This makes a lot more sense to me, and if I do decide to do an exam, this is probably the method I'll choose. All the information and syllabuses are available online from the ANZCA website, www.anzca.com.au, free of charge, and with a video format, I would assume the exams are available anywhere in the world. There is a fee for the ANZCA Go, with an exclamation mark. It ranges from $90 Australian for preparatory and $174 Australian for grades 7 and 8. In the next episode, I'll review the pieces in the preparatory syllabus for piano and the 2 books they have with some of the approved pieces. Well, that's it for this week. If you'd like to contact me, email is the best way. You'll find me at david@pianofinally.show, and the website at www.pianofinally.show. In both cases, Piano Finally is all one word. Let me know where you are in your piano journey. This show is also on Facebook and Instagram, and it's available as audio only on YouTube. You can subscribe via any popular iOS or Android podcast application, or from directories such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Player FM. So, until the next episode, I hope your piano stays in tune and you enjoy your time at the keys. Again, I'll include two pieces in this week's progress. The first is Fritz Spindler's Canon, which I've been working on more this week, but the enforced break in practicing has meant that I've lost some of the improvement. I've been working on dynamics, it's nearly at speed, and I can play it reliably 9 times out of 10. I'm also working on a couple of other pieces in the Ansgar preparatory book, an etude in G by Louis Kahler, and a bagatelle in F by Daniel Gottlob Turk. I'll include the bagatelle this week. It's the stronger of the pair. I'm still working on the Adele piece, but I've been concentrating more on the pieces and scales for the past week. The recording was made using the Kawai NV10 as the keyboard and Piano Tech running on my new M4 Max MacBook Pro. Piano Tech is set up with a new Shigeru Kawai SKEX in classical recording mode.